Hello everyone and welcome to Tanchaz Talk, the world's only English language program focusing primarily on Hungarian folk music. I'm your host Kalman Magyar Öcsi and I'm so happy you're with me today. You know, 2020 has definitely been a very strange year, and it's not over yet, but it's also been the year of Tanchaz Talk. The launch of Tanchaz Talk just a few months ago, and I'm so happy that you're listening to these episodes. This is an episode of music and stories, and today's episode I've titled No Strings Attached. You know, usually I tend to focus on my favorite type of music, which is Hungarian string music. So folk music played on string instruments, violin, viola, bass, etc. Cimbalom, of course, many strings, too many strings to count actually. We give short shrift to the non-string instruments oftentimes, particularly in the Táncház movement, right? Although you'll see some instruments being played at the Táncházes and the performances and the like that are non-strings. In general, the focus is on the string music. So today I am focusing on music and playing music and telling some stories about instruments that do not have strings. So I will be highlighting those instruments. This is stuff you blow into, this is stuff that you hit, stuff that you squeeze, or stuff that you push down on, and even more. And you know, sad as it is, in the year of 2020, the idea for the episode came as I recently heard about the death of Jupin Pál Jupin, who recently passed away at the age of 57, very young man, and he taught for years at the Nyíregyháza folk music school. And then he went on to the Liszt Academy as well. It's a fabulous furulya, so that's like the folk flute, the recorder, in other words, instrument, and other woodwind and bagpipe and the like. And very sad to see him go. I didn't know him personally, but of course he was a great man in the Hungarian folk music movement. And then let's start off by playing something from him in honor of Jupin Pál's recent death. This is him playing some music from Nyáradmente from the Székelyföld on the furulya. Now, if you're not familiar with this type of music, you know, you're used to listening to violin music and the like, you know, what you're listening for is really the amazing trills, and the ornamentation and the breath control, and the cleanliness of the tunes that you're hearing on the furulya. Vibrato as well. And the vibrato is happening by the shaking of the instrument a little. a live recording from Pál Jupin. Rest in peace. Excuse me. That was a recording from the year 2014 at the Művészetek Palota in Budapest, in a concert he did actually with the singer and the storyteller Berec András. Let's move on to another type of wind instrument, and this is the kaval. The kaval, K-A-V-A-L, or sometimes spelled C-A-V-A-L. And I had an experience playing the kaval. I actually own a kaval, and I went to and I taught at Balkan Camp, run by the Eastern European Folklife Center for multiple years, and I met some wonderful musicians and wonderful friends. And as I'm there, I'm thinking, I actually first went as a camper many moons ago in the early 90s when I was still in the Tamburitsins, and that's where I learned the gaide, the Macedonian bagpipe, and also the gedulka, which is the Bulgarian violin that's kind of, you play it vertically, it's on your lap. But anyway, as I later went back with my wife and the kids, I figured I'd take some lessons as well, learn some new instruments. So I signed up for the beginning kaval class. Well, the kaval has a very open-ended end that you blow into, and it's kind of like trying to blow into the bottom of a chair or something. It's like just like sitting there, and you have to put your mouth perfectly somehow to really get a noise in. Well, these classes are 75 minutes each, and beginning kaval class, the first 3 or 4 days is trying to make a noise or make a sound out of the instrument. It takes for 75 minutes you straight every day. For the first few days you're just blowing. The really good students are able to make a noise after 3 days, and the rest they never will. I learned how to do it, and then I forgot how to do it because it's just a specific way of blowing into this. So for a week we were just trying to, I call it blow your brains out, trying to make a noise, and then at the very end of the camp, there's always a concert, where the students perform what they learned. And for the beginning kaval class, the whole class gets up and then breath in and tries to blow something, and some of them make noise, some of them don't, but at the end there's a huge applause always at the end of the beginning kaval presentation, because it's an accomplishment just to make a sound. It's an amazing instrument, and Gera Attila, who's the wind player for the Hungarian State Folk Ensemble and for Szalonna's band, plays a mean kaval, and this is a track called Cavalcade. Get it? Like cavalcade. Some music from Moldva on Szalonna's CD Öröm Zene. Let's listen to Gera Attila featured on this track. There's a guy who passed the beginning kaval class right there, Gera Attila. Very cool. That's the kaval. I can't even underscore. I like to underscore how freaking difficult that instrument is to just make a noise on, make a sound out of. Not to mention to play on it like that. That's amazing work. I play a lot of Solon and his band's music, but you know what? Damn, they're good. One of my favorite top 5 bands probably. And you know, the furulya, the folk flute, is of course much easier to play. It's got the mouthpiece, which is already kind of dummy free, so any child, baby can blow into it. But to play it really well is a real art. And we'll be hearing a few furulya. Of course, we already heard the late Pál Gyupin play. There's another furulya player, Szántó Feri bácsi from Magyar Bece. This was he passed away in 2015, but the band Téka really brought him to the forefront over the years before his death. So Feri bácsi, Feri Szántó, he's from Magyar Bece, and he played the furulya, he played the violin, he sang, he danced, and he really put Magyar Bece on the folklore map. But you know, I was thinking about, before I play a track from him, I was thinking about another village with the name Magyar in it, Magyar Lóna. I went to Magyar Lóna, and this is in Kalotaszeg, many years ago, mid-90s, and that's where Budáló, Kovács Simon, the violinist, is from, and the famous Kalotaszegi primás. Actually, Székely Levente mentioned him during our recent interview. But anyway, in Magyar Lóna, I spent a night, I remember, huddled up with Lévai Péter, who's my guide in Transylvania that summer, sleeping in a haystack, literally, and used the hay to sleeping under a haystack, literally used the hay to shield us from the cold air in that summer in Transylvania. Just spent the night, but it felt like a week, you know, to be honest. But anyway, there was a fabulous shepherd, János bácsi, that Péter knew, and we went to visit him up in the mountains, and he was busy shepherding the sheep as he would every summer. And he was a cool dude. You know, he played a really, really mean furulya, and of course I had my fiddle with me, and I played some Kalotaszegi tunes, and these guys couldn't believe that this, you know, law student from New York could play like that. Didn't even know what New York was, where New York was, but they were really nice people. There was a very famous boot maker as well there, and I remember, you know, it was a big pig roast, or lamb roast actually, and it was just a great time. And I remember this János, you know, I could picture him. He was really probably one of the only shepherds I met, you know, that just would sit there, and you know, I could picture him on the hillside and just playing for his sheep, and the sheep kind of digging the sound and falling asleep or whatever, eating grass, smoking grass, whatever they were doing during that time that he played the furulya. So that's a nice old memory from Magyar Lóna. But back to Magyar Bece, Szántó Feri bácsi. Let's listen to him playing his furulya. This is the Téka CD that they made with him. It's called Mestereink, our masters. This is Szántó Feri bácsi from Magyar Bece. Now, if you're like me, you could honestly take only so much of this type of furulya music, especially when it's played kind of solo like that. But take a moment and really kind of just appreciate the simplicity of this instrument with, you know, I don't know, 6 holes or whatever it is on it, little piece of wood, and how brilliant it could sound. And you know, if you play this right, you have an instrument in your that fits into a small bag, you know, forever with you. And kind of just you know, just imagine that, the simplicity but the beauty of this instrument. I guess this is, you know, how you whistle for a cab. This is before Uber, you know. This is maybe how you whistle for a cab in Magyar Jr, you know. That's beautiful. Shepherd's Song from Santo Feribaci on his CD with Takeoff. Of course, that's him playing solo. That's a nice CD, by the way. If you remember that one, it seems like a long time ago now. Let's totally change track, and I'm gonna play music from a guy called Ferenci György. And Gyuri is György is the leader of the Rocka Jam band. Have you heard of that? It's kind of like a really folk-inspired blues band. Very, very cool music, very witty. And their leader, this guy György, you know, he plays some violin, but he plays what he's really, really well known for is the harmonica. He's a world famous harmonica player. That's the mouth harmonica, of course, not the harmonica, which is accordion in Hungarian. Isn't that interesting? So you say harmonica to refer in Hungarian to an accordion, but this is the harmonica, and the Hungarians say száj harmonika, so mouth harmonica or mouth harp or whatever it is. So anyway, Ferenci György, he's a very unique musician. He's very, very cool. And he does a lot of crossover kind of stuff in terms of his music with his band, the Rocka Jam, and he also plays a lot with the Cheek band and with Szalonna as well. So this guy is quite well known in the Táncház circles in Hungary, and he's real passionate about this music. And he did a really cool CD. He made a cool CD with some friends, and it's called Chicago Blues, but not Chicago. It's spelled Cheek-hago, referring to the area in Transylvania. Anyway, and this is the title track called Chicago Blues, and this is a really cool. It's based on Hungarian folk music. It's not Hungarian folk music traditionally, so it's an arrangement. But I think you'll really, really like this. Ferenci György, Chicago Blues. Yeah, come on. It's a hajnali, now he's jamming on the hajnali, Koltaszegi hajnali. Nice, little guitar there. Stick with me at Tanchaz Talk. I'll show you music you've never heard. I'll take you places you've never been. Yeah. Yes. How bad can 2020 be with Ferenci György? Not too bad. Chicago Blues. Hello everyone in Chicago. I'm supposed to be there in a few months with Gyanta. Let's see if that happens. I hope so. Yes. Yeah, he's not only a great player, you know, he's also a very witty musician. I like the wit in this type of music. Really cool. By the way, hearing that reminds me of John Popper. Remember John Popper? He's a fabulous harmonica player from Blues Traveler, and you know, he grew up in the New Jersey area. His father's Hungarian, actually. I think I don't know if they're still playing that band, Blues Traveler, but I was a big fan of them. about 20 years ago, and nice Hungarian connection there as well. Anyway, from the kind of the modern stylized, let's go back to some traditional stuff, and again, no strings attached. This is really the Gypsy tradition, the Roma tradition, and this is the that really traditional village music from northeastern Hungary. That was really it's heavily relying on. There's some guitars and stuff like that in there, but it's really heavily relying on percussion. Not just things you hit, so like the jug and the spoon and all that, but also mouth percussion, that kind of stuff. I do it horribly, but that's the idea. I know, kind of a vocal tradition. And the band that really put this on the map, starting about 30 years ago, contemporaneously with the growth of the Táncház movement, is Kai Yug. And Kai Yug had a classic album called O Suno, which I remember listening to a lot. And this is a song from there. I'm going to butcher the pronunciation because it's Roma language, but it's not Shinger Tutshe. Let's see if I said that correctly. But this is again focused on the type of percussive tradition and the kind of vocal tradition of that type of the Gypsy tradition from northeast Hungary. Let's listen to this. Finger snapping too. That's the Flintstones in the back. Yabba dabba 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 doo. It's so interesting, she's singing and those guys are just in the back kind of just mouthing off. I'm wondering what they're saying. It's aside from dabba 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 doo, which I know means nothing, but they actually say things like calls or chuyogatashok. It's interesting. Beautiful music. Jug solo. There you go, Kai Yug, classic traditional gypsy bands there. Speaking of instruments that are, kind of hard to play, the next one I want to feature is the tarogató. The tarogató was actually originally a double reed instrument, very, very loud. But at the end of the 19th century, a guy called Shunda, Joseph Shunda, from Budapest, he gave it a different mouthpiece, like a single reed mouthpiece, like a saxophone a mouthpiece. And then he also put a system of keys on there. So it became kind of a more classical type of instrument. I liken it to kind of a soprano saxophone. Really, that's kind of how it looks and similar to how it's played. But this is a real, Hungarian and Romanian instrument, and there's a very, very one of the top tarogató players in the world. Actually, I had the pleasure of playing with him. He lives in Cleveland. György Trimbitas. Isn't that a great name? Trimbitas. Like trombitas, like trumpet player. But György Trimbitas, he was destined to play a woodwind instrument or something you blow into, I think. So he has played a bunch with Walt Mahovlich, of course, who I interviewed on Tanchaz Talk interviews in a recent episode, and Alexander Fedoryuk and the Harmonia Band. So György is a great guy. He's a good friend also of George Petran, who plays the tarogató as well, quite well. We heard him play in a recording with Eletfa a couple of episodes ago. So the tarogató, it's great. It's a loud. It's kind of like a clarinet on steroids. So and it's played during Tancházes, and you'll hear this instrument as well. It is kind of overbearing. It's kind of loud, so it has to be played tastefully. But this next group, the Günsöl Band, has a wonderful track that they play music from Nagy Sármás, from Mezőség, and this is all music featuring the tarogató. Let's listen to this amazing instrument. This music is very Romanian sounding, no surprise. Nagy Sármás is primarily a Romanian village, so you get a lot of that, northern Mezőség, kind of like kemény telki kind of sound. Really cool on the tarogató, very difficult to play this. Says I'm a violinist, so maybe others say, hey, violin's really hard to play. Well, not for me, so... Zsuki Csárdas, hey! Hey, accordionists, get out of the way. This is a tarogató solo. tarogató. Very cool instrument, and we take great pride in it as Hungarians. You know, it's a very special Hungarian specific woodwind instrument. Another one I like to feature is the saxophone. You know, the saxophone is, it's primarily you hear it in more modern setups, particularly in the Romanian focused music. But sometimes also come up in Transylvanian music too. You know, two great Péters who play the saxophone. Bede Péter, who was at Csipke Camp a couple of years ago. Fantastic parties with just featuring the saxophone, always fun, playing the alto sax. And Moko Péter from the Cheek Band. He's another guy who's a fabulous saxophonist. So, you know, you'll hear it in Táncház very rarely, you know, sometimes in Kalotaszegi and the like. But, you know, this is more of utilized in Romanian and, you know, Balkan music. I remember I met the very, he lives in New York still, Yuri Yunakov, a very, very well-known Bulgarian wedding band musician. That wedding, kind of contemporary Bulgarian wedding band music that he played with, you know, as early as the 70s, playing with Ivo Papazov and others. And I remember we met at Michael Ginsberg's apartment. Michael Ginsberg, the head of Zlatne Uste Balkan brass band, he was kind of trying me out to see if I could play the tapan, the drums, which I could, but play for some party with Yuri Yunakov. And Michael was playing the keyboard, and then I was playing the tapan, and I remember it was like a rechenitsa, ta 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 ta, like a 7/8, and Yuri Yunakov got in my face and started improvising with his loud saxophone, the most complex solo I ever heard in my life, trying to throw me off the rhythm. Just kind of messing with me and trying me out. And guess what? He did throw me off. It was complete catastrophe, disaster, and it didn't work well. And actually, I didn't play the gig. So I guess I didn't feel comfortable doing it, if that's how it was going to go with these very complex solos. But fast forward many years later, we actually ended up playing on a CD together, although we were never in the same room. Or same facility, because we were brought in separately, but we played on Merita Halili and Raif Hizeni's two of their tracks. He played Yuri Yunakov played the saxophone, and I played the violin and viola on this Albanian music that you hear once in a while on the radio and the like in Albania, because Merita, of course, is a very big star. Anyway, that's my not a great experience with the saxophone, but certainly Yuri was powerful enough to throw me off, getting in my face and trying to throw me off with his syncopation and all that, and I just kind of stopped playing. So anyway, let's listen to some Nodoro. They have a great saxophone player, and this is a Csárdas from Saschavas, played by the Nodoro band. Again, it's a bit of a more contemporary setup, and you'll feel that right away with the saxophone, but boy is it ever cool. Here it is. Listen to those nice trills. saxophone. You know, speaking of Sastravas, they had this really cool number that the gypsy band from Sastravas did. You might remember, where they put their instruments down and they played their music just using their voice. And I'm going to play that for you. They always used to play this number or do this number during the concerts. And sometimes they would flip their instruments around and play on the wrong end, pretend they're making a noise, but of course there's no noise coming out, and they would be singing what I'm going to show you. But you know, that reminds me of the Sastravas band. And you know, when they were touring in the U.S. A bunch of times. There were 6 of them, and but only one of them can read, kind of. István bácsi, their leader, Dumnezeu. And he you know, there was a show order that you know, he could have kind of put it down. He wrote the order down on a piece of paper, and he could have put it on the floor or something. But he insisted on having a music stand. We had to give him a music stand, and he wanted the music stand to be next to him, so you could put the show order on there, because he wanted the audience to know that he's the one that can read on stage. You know, he's boasting that he's the literate one. Of course, these guys are all fabulous musicians, wonderful people. Unfortunately, 2 of them passed away in the recent years. But Dumnezeu is still with us, and you'll see him once in a while playing the violin, although he's quite unhealthy, unfortunately. And he was at the Smithsonian Festival back in 2012, 2013. And that's István bácsi. So this is a number that they actually ended up recording. It's called Csavasi Szájból. So this is from out of your mouth, Sastravas music. And this is from one of their old CDs, actually, Sastravas Band 3. That's the number of that's the name of the CD. It's their 3rd CD they put out. And this is fun. This is the 6 of them singing their respective parts, either violin or contra or bass, what have you. Here, let's listen to this Sastravas Band. I think it's hilarious. I like there's some awkward silence in the middle of that, where they all have to take a breath at the same time. And of course they have the typical Sastravas, da 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 da, pam pam pam. Very, very funny. Great piece. Definitely no strings attached on that one. Speaking of no strings attached, the bagpipe, the duda, is a classic Hungarian folk instrument. Of course, the Hungarian is special because it's got double reeds, and so you can almost play kind of harmony as well, and it's just a very robust, very full-sounding bagpipe. And my first real experience with the bagpipe, I remember there was Sim Jackendoff, and I've spoken of Sim. Sim was the leader of the so-called Molots Banda in New Jersey and then the Philadelphia area many years ago, back when I was a baby, and Sim was one of the first people to recommend to my parents that my sister and I start taking violin lessons. He was a clarinetist, and he also played the bagpipe, and that was pretty cool. And then in terms of kind of hearing the bagpipe when I was young like that, and I remember then Teka came 1982 to the symposium in 1982 to Fairleigh Dickinson University in New Jersey, Madison, New Jersey. I don't know who remembers that far back, but I do. I remember there was a Gyurkedli, Lányi Gyuri is the contra player, but also the bagpipe player in Teka to this very day. And Gyuri played Dunántúli Ugros, and my father led the dancing. And this was a camp at a real university campus, Fairleigh Dickinson University. So there was a pool down the hall from the where the dancing was, literally an Olympic-sized swimming pool that they used for the NCAA tournaments, or NCAA swim meets. And Gyurkedli said, while he was playing the duda, he said to my dad, he said, "Kalman, if you guys follow me, we'll go over to the pool, and down the hallway in the the Dunántúli Ugros, the big line, everyone's holding hands or holding shoulders, whatever, boom." And they leave the dance hall, they go to the pool, and then Gyurkedli says to my dad, "Come on, if you jump into the pool and bring people in there with you, I will jump in with the duda." And so my dad said, "Okay." So he jumped in. I don't remember actually if Gyuri jumped in. I doubt he did, or he might have, and held the duda up high. So that was pretty hilarious. That's 1982. Some hijinks from the symposium. The Dunántúli Ugros right into the pool, the Olympic-sized swimming pool at Fairleigh Dickinson University. Another great duda player is from Méta, Berán István, who's also the head of the Táncház Egyesület, the Táncház organization, and you guys will remember Méta. They were at the much later symposium in 1995. They have a nice CD talking about various traditions. Actually, two CDs: a winter CD and then like a spring one, talking about playing music from the various customs and traditions of the springtime. And this is about the Farsang. They have Mardi Gras, Fat Tuesday, or whatever. Rio has de Janeiro has the Carnival. Well, Hungarians have the Farsang. That immediately precedes Lent. It's a big masquerade kind of thing, masquerade ball party. And Méta's CD, they have a track called Hop Hop Farsang, and this is in honor of the Farsang time. And you'll also hear a Török sheep in this, so like a zurna. That's the Balkan word for it, but the Turkish pipe. This is the super, super loud and imposing instrument that you don't want anyone waking you up with, because I've had that happen right in my ear. So, but anyway, this piece primarily features the duda, and let's hear this featuring Berán Pityu and his duda playing. I love it when the duda is joined by the string instruments. I don't know why. It's just cool to have that drone going and the instruments. It's very cool. The bagpipe player has a little break here. Grab some palinka. He'll be back, don't worry. This is the Török sheep. Yeah. Hop, hop, farsang. Hop, hop, hop. That fade out is brought to you by the original recording. Not my fade out, but I will fade out and talk about the next piece. The accordion, again, not a string instrument, and there's a fair bit of controversy about where the role of the accordion. You hear it more and more and more played at Táncház and in bands in Kalotaszeg and in various parts of Székelyföld, most notably in Vajdaságtiványi. You hear it in Mezőség, particularly in the northern Mezőség. So this is an increasingly, I say, acceptable instrument. I have no problem with it. It's fantastic. It works really well together with the contra. Some purists say get the accordion out of here, but it has been historically played in various areas. Obviously, in more contemporary setups will usually include it as well. And you might remember a wonderful CD that kind of Gaja spearheaded called Őrkőiek Budapesten, the folks from Őrkő. This is this little gypsy commune outside of Sepsi-Szentgyörgy and in the Székelyföld in Transylvania. And these are the folks that I visited before they really were on the map back in the mid 90s, and it was really cool to be there and to see them dancing and partying and playing. And this CD was later recorded sometime in the 2000s when they brought a bunch of the Őrköi folks into Budapest and recorded the CD. I think that this was recorded probably at the Fono. And there's a nice track called Jenő a harmonikás. So Jenő that's his name. He's the accordion player. This is Dima Jenő, and one of the musicians from Öcsi. And this is a solo track featuring him playing the accordion. And I wanted to feature this. We could have played music from others as well on the accordion, but you don't usually hear the accordion taking the lead. Usually it's a backup instrument playing the chords when we play the Hungarian music. But this is more gypsy, free-flowing style, almost Romanian inspired as well. So this is that type of music, and there's great liberty taken here. But Jenő a harmonikás from the CD Örkölyek Budapesten. Very, very mysterious introduction. Here we go. Gyertek ide, sógorok! Minor. Oh, hi. You'll hear this piece usually in lassú csárdás, but here he's playing it in this kind of rubato, almost slow invertita. Very nice style. Ai Romale, ai chavale. Oh, oh. Yeah, funny. Hop, hop, hop. For me, this goes off the rails, to be honest, just a little here. Once he gets faster, it sounds like there's a second accordion somewhere in there as well. I don't know, it gets a little sloppy, but it's still fun. It's A minor with a little 6 on top, F sharp, nice. Classy ending. Ah, the accordion. Well, let's talk about probably the smallest instrument physically that we'll talk about today, which is the doromb, the Jew's harp, or the Jaws harp. This is small. You could it fits into your pocket pretty much, and it's probably one of the only folk instruments I know of that fits into your pocket. And the Jew's harp, Jaws harp, or doromb, let's call it the doromb. Doromb is really fun. You could really hurt yourself trying to play it though. If you've ever tried, it's you have to kind of make sure you know what you're getting into. If you're wearing braces, just be careful. I remember my dad would play the doromb for me and Papatila, my friend Papatila in New Jersey. We used to dance the Mekereki dance, the topshosh, the really fast men's dance. And my dad would be playing, and at the performances, sometimes it would just stop, and I would look over what's going on with him. Well, the doromb would get stuck in his mustache, so if you have a mustache or any type of facial hair, you gotta watch that out. Watch that. Or cut it out. Maybe that's why my dad lost the mustache. I don't remember anymore. But it's a cool instrument, and the Itzhak Perlman, or the Yo-Yo Ma of the doromb, is Balogh Sándor Balogh, and he has a CD featuring music on the doromb, believe it or not. You'll hear the music, you'll hear doromb stuff, some Mekereki, as I mentioned, some other, parts of Hungary. Again, it's a very simple type of instrument. It's really hard. You think furulya is hard to listen to for hours. That the doromb is really tough, but the real masters like Balogh Sándor can make real music on it. And I picked a Moldvai. You hear it in Moldva as well, and you'll hear this is called the Shiritet Tánc, and this is Balogh Sándor and his group. It's a really, really cool arrangement featuring the doromb. Let's listen to this. That's not the doromb. Hold on. There it is. Is this theme song to Dukes of Hazzard or something? I don't know. Yeah. Oh. I hope you're all becoming doromb fans. It's a really cool instrument. Break it down. Here we go. Yeah. music on the doromb. Not as bad as one would think, Of course, helped there by some other instruments. I think it's a long flute and kobos as well, the lute. But anyway, that was pretty cool. That's Balogh Sándor, the Pinkas Zuckerman of the doromb. I never forget something that happened. This kind of exemplifies the short shrift kind of the disrespect, one would say, that the furulya, or I should say the string music, some music played on the strings, gets as compared with the no strings attached instruments that we've been talking about today. And this came up I would say it came up on the international stage during Főszállott a Páva several years ago. The backstory on this is Soma Solomon, who of course was a guest of Tanchaz Talk interviews, now seems many moons ago. So listen to that great interview with Soma. Soma competed at the Főszállott a Páva, and at the end of I think it was the semi-final, he was tied with Tokos zenekar, so Tokos band, those guys from Transylvania. So they both had 49 out of 50 points. So the jury, the esteemed judge panel, had to decide which one to advance. So only one could advance to the next round. So I'll play the clip. I found it on YouTube of what went down as part of this, and then I'll translate it. It's in Hungarian, but bear with me if you don't speak, and I will translate it afterwards. But basically, you have a string band has 49 points, and you have a furulya player, a very good furulya player, with 49 points as well. And Sebő Ferenc has to decide as the head of the panel who is going to move to the next round.
Az első döntetlen megszedett, úgyhogy egy pillanat türelmet, át kell adnom a szót a zsűri elnökének, és azonnali döntésre sarkalni.
Én arra gondolok, hogy van nekünk a zsebünkben még néhány külön díj, és mivel tudom, hogy a furulya azért mégse az átütő hangszer, mint amit az egész ország közönsége annak tart, ezért a zenekarnak kedvezünk ezúttal, de gondolunk rá, amikor a külön díjakat osztunk, Salamonban is.
A döntő után a diátodon adott nekem egy ilyen nagy fából készült buzogányt, hogy legközelebb majd ezzel harcoljak a zenekarok ellen. Ugye azóta 4 év eltelt, és csomó gyakoroltam rajta, össze-vissza fújom a buzogányt elől meg hátul, de nem tudom, hogy kell megszólaltatni.
So basically what happened here was the Sebő Ferenc said, you know what, we have a band, a string band, and we have a furulya player, and the furulya is not regarded as compelling of instrument to the audiences across Hungary. So we're going to advance the string band, Tokos, who of course deserved to advance, as well as Soma did, and we will consider Soma when giving a special award to Soma, which was well deserved. That's basically what he says, and then you hear Shoma's voice that talks about that and the fact that he's been competing against the string bands. He says this, of course, sarcastically, for 4 years, and that was 4 years ago that happened. And then in this episode in 2018 or 20, I forget when that was, but he basically comes back and competes again. So anyway, that's the kind of exemplifies even at that level that, hey, people would rather listen to the average person would rather listen to a string band, and I'm in that too, rather than a single furulya solo. That was kind of interesting, and I wanted to share that with you. But let's not, forget about Soma here. He plays a beautiful piece that I wanted to play for you. This is from Klézse, from Moldva. This is one of Soma's many pieces that he's played on national TV in Hungary. So this is a little deeper than the other furulya pieces that we heard today. This is kind of the longer, that's why it's a little longer version of the furulya. So that humming you hear in the back, that's him. That's the shoma, that's the furulya player kind of accompanying himself with that kind of drone. Beautiful. Shalom Shama. Oh, that's a live audience. That's back when we had that type of thing. Shalom Shama playing music from Moldova. Things worked out well for him, even though he didn't make it to the finals that year. Don't worry, folks. Don't be too sad for my friend Shoma. He's gonna be back on the show as well in a couple of months with interview number 2. We have a lot more to talk about with him. But for now, we've reached the end of the show. This is the granddaddy of them all in terms of the instrument that's you probably hear most that has no strings attached at the Tanchazes and the like. And this is the clarinet, of course. It kind of works for anything that's, in the Hungarian, so in small Hungary, modern day Hungary, and Felvidék, of course, in Slovak region, and even some of the Transylvanian music. So clarinet has been around forever in terms of the music. It's a part of the string band sound, and it really adds so much. You only know that it's not there when it's missing. These guys, this is Tarsoly zenekar. Tarsoly has a great, very traditional kind of the string band sound, and this is music from Sárköz, which features the clarinet. And just as I say that, the cimbalom starts its solo, but it's okay. You know, even the great clarinet players need to rest once in a while. Let's listen. This is a good time to remind you to make sure you subscribe to Tanchaz Talk Interviews, the podcast. You go to Spotify or Apple or Google or all these different popular podcast platforms, and you can subscribe to the podcast for the interviews. And Music and Stories, as always, is available on YouTube, and also and you can subscribe to Tanchaz Talk on YouTube, and of course always on tanchaz.com for downloadable audio episodes. Of course, make sure you tune into future episodes, and share the show with your friends. And we have some good interviews coming up, and just lining those up, and some, of course, always great music coming up as well this crazy month of October 2020. Fancy. Of course, I'd be remiss not to mention the clarinetist's name. It's Morgetán Máté. He's been before with the Zagyva band a couple of years ago to Csipke, and I believe he plays now a lot with the band with Zagyva. And so Máté is a fabulous musician, a very nice guy, and also taught the furulya at the camp. He's a very good wind player all around. Here we go. Up. Yes. Up.